Ever since this time, there was a constant reaction and instability among the people, which led to Clifford mapping out a means of controlling this tension in this area. Clifford introduced what was known as indirect rule, where the people were permitted to rule themselves under the control of Britain. This was the first constitution of Nigeria. This constitution empowers the people to vote and be voted for. It gave room for praise, and also it is the first constitution that allowed an African to vote their people into power. This constitution was given with an ulterior motive by Britain, which was one, to shift the attention of the South, East, and West from fighting British power to concentrating on getting power and controlling themselves through politics. Secondly, this was meant as to divide the various empires and communities into units, as to incapacitate them so that they will not be able to fight the British government anymore. This seems to lessen the crisis in this area, as people now deviated their attention from fighting British government to focusing on who to lead their various communities. With time, it was obvious that this could not solve all the expected problems as the crisis increased. Now, after this, another constitution came up in 1922. The crisis in Nigeria took a new shape after the Second World War, which started from 1939 to 1945, which brought America into world power when Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe came back from that war and started protesting and working for the freedom of Nigeria. This led to another constitution by Richard, which divided the country into three regions of Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba as a means of controlling the ever-rising crisis. This constitution was known as Richard's Constitution. Later again, as the crisis continued, Mafasin brought another constitution in 1951. This worked more on this federalist system of Nigeria as to make the various parts of Nigeria get the dividends of British governments. As the pressure continues by Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe and some top Igbo leaders and other nationals in Nigeria, the British government established another means of intensifying this means of regional government of Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba in 1954. When all seems to be of no avail, in 1957, Britain summoned a conference for independence of Nigeria, and finally, in 1960, Nigeria was officially handed over to an Igbo man in the name of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. Thus, there was an independent constitution which was meant to be a regional government where all parts of Nigeria were to benefit. But consequent upon the intelligence of Nnamdi and some other Igbos who were at the forefront of fighting for the independence of Nigeria, Britain was not comfortable with the move. Thus, the Igbos faulted the first census enumeration that was conducted in 1962, which determined the election that was conducted in 1963, where Nnamdi Azikiwe was being removed from power in favor of Alhaji Tafewa Balewa. Dr. Nnamdi Kanu, after all these fights, merely became the ceremonial president of Nigeria. This led to the first democratic constitution of Nigeria, which was patterned according to the desire of Britain, and this resulted to greater crisis. During the crisis, all that was of paramount importance to Britain was what would better the economy of Britain than who leads Nigeria. Thus, the Igbos were marginalized. This triggered a higher crisis in 1964. And finally, in 1966, there was coup and counter-coup, where Aguiyi became the military president. And after the counter-coup, Gowon emerged as the military president of Nigeria, which General Odumegwu Ojukwu was not happy with. Ojukwu preferred the position to be given according to military hierarchy. Secondly, Ojukwu wanted Nigeria to return to a regional government where all the dividends, the profits of Nigeria would be shared to the three regions of Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba. This crisis led to what was called Aburi Accord, the meeting at Aburi in Ghana, where agreements were taken. Unfortunately, when they returned to Nigeria, Ojukwu perceived that these agreements and orders in the Aburi Accord were not followed. Rather, Ojukwu was being invited to Lokoja for another meeting, which he refused to. And at this, Ojukwu started ignoring the authority of Gowon. And finally, Gowon, according to Gowon, Britain prevailed over him in starting the war against the Igbo. The war started in 1967 that led to a high-level genocide. And after this time, an anti-Igbo laws were passed. And the Igbos, no matter the amount of money in their accounts, were freezed. And they were only given 20 pounds. Which has not stopped. And the marginalization of Igbos had not stopped till date. The Biafran agitators are on 3 points. One, being that Nigeria refuses to be one, why don't Nigeria allow the Igbos to be on their own? They stress that according to the amalgamation law of 1914, which Igbo were not fully part to, that the amalgamation law states that after 100 years, any region that wants to depart on self-determination can do so. Secondly, after this war for 25 years, they are legally due to exit the nation. Legally to exit the nation. Thirdly, since Nigeria refuses to be one and the rights are being taken away from them, they are not permitted to be leaders or to rule the country or hold high positions. They should be allowed to exit Nigeria and stand as a country of their own. In your own suggestion from this analysis, who do you think that started the war? What do you think that is a problem of Nigeria? And what also do you think that can be solution to the problems of Nigeria? You can write us on the comments section. Follow us. Follow our page for more information. Thanks and God bless you. Bye.